While making this video, I decided to look up the meaning of Kaiju, and apparently the literal translation is strange beast. However, I would argue that a giant prehistoric fire-breathing turtle is less of a strange beast and more of a massive lad. So if any native Japanese speakers would like to tell me what the Japanese is for massive lad, then that would be greatly appreciated. It's been a hot minute since we last took a look at a PS1 game that was basically cribbing all its ideas from a Sega one, so let's take a look at the 1997 rail shooter Gamera 2000. Now if you're not familiar with the Gamera franchise, then it's basically a competing series of kaiju films that are similar in nature to Godzilla, but feature the giant fire-breathing turtle known as Gamera. The first film released in 1965 and a further 11 have been produced since, and while Gamera was originally portrayed as an antagonist, he becomes more of a protector as the films continue. Much like Godzilla really. So there's your context. Gamera 2000 is one of a slew of Gamera video games that were produced in the mid-90s, and it puts you in control of a spaceship piloted by the Science Defense Academy, who are trying to defend the Earth with the assistance of Gamera from an invading alien force called the Biomecha. Strangely, the game's story is entirely played out through live-action cutscenes that are voiced in English, but as the game is Japanese exclusive, there are Japanese subtitles included too. However, this does make the game very import friendly, and you get to enjoy some outrageous accents as a result.
So, according to CC, Gamera is at 30,000 feet. We passed near in 10 minutes.
We made contact with COC. Gamera is heading south at 30,000 feet and will reach the metropolitan area in 10 minutes.
The actual in-game action basically has you shooting down scores of Biomecha in your spaceship using a standard repeating shot, but you can also hold down the fire button, roll the reticule over various enemies to lock onto them, and then attack with Gamera's fire breath when you release the fire button. You can also rotate the camera in 90-degree chunks by pressing either L1 and R1, which corresponds to left and right respectively. The eagle-eyed among you will instantly notice what game Gamera 2000 is riffing off. We've got a gosh dang Panzer Dragoon clone on our hands, people. Even the minimap with its cone-shaped field of vision is entirely nicked from Panzer Dragoon as well. It's a gloriously blatant piece of copying someone else's homework, but thankfully it does have a bit of a different tone and presentation thanks to its use of the Gamera license. The whole game feels very arcadey and camp, which gives it an air of playfulness that Panzer Dragoon lacks. You also get time to explore and chat with your crew, which reveals more live-action cutscenes and more bad accents. Early 90s FMV never fails to amuse thanks to the obvious "ah, that'll do" attitude the director has had when shooting the scenes. There's some good fun to be had with Gamera 2000, but it clearly lacks the visual style and unique presentation of Panzer Dragoon. Panzer Dragoon feels very alien and mysterious with its made-up language and Mobius-inspired artwork. Gamera 2000 is just some arcade rail shooter with funny cutscenes, and sometimes that's absolutely fine, but it won't stick in your memory in the same way that Panzer Dragoon does. Still, if you like this type of game, then there's nothing inherently wrong with Gamera 2000. It controls well and the action is fast, with lots of varied enemies and attack patterns to discover. If you like Panzer Dragoon and you've exhausted the franchise, then why not give this one a try? It's also quite fitting that the Gamera franchise is basically a clone of the Godzilla franchise, so of course it would rip off another game for its own video game adaptation. Wonderfully brazen stuff.